If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell icon to get the latest updates.
Okay, so I will do a quick recap what we finished in till yesterday's class. So quickly, let's go to from where we started yesterday. So yesterday we started with learning about payroll processing framework. So what we understood or what we learned is that payroll processing framework is basic building block from where we need to get started whenever we are implementing payroll from scratch into our customer's tenant. Now, what actually comes into payroll processing framework? So there are three basic pieces or the three building blocks, what we call them: when, what, and who. So when is period schedule? Period schedule is nothing but it is basically a pay calendar, which is bare minimum that will have a period begin date, period end date, and payment date. On top of it, the period schedule will have some other feature or some other information like a date for continuous payroll calculation. There are a couple of dates for time tracking. Then we have a dates for accounting for GL. And then finally, we saw that there are dates to override the payment date during a settlement. After that, we moved on to run category. We started with run category, but on run category, we just looked or we just reviewed the first tab, which is called general tab for run category. And what run category do is run category provide a mechanism to basically give a information that what we want to process. Do we want to which employee pool we want to process, or which employee group we want to process, what earning codes and deduction codes we want to process, what pay component group we want to process, what will be my gross accumulator, what will be my net accumulator, what kind of a tax treatment I'm expecting out of run category. The run category I configured is a regular taxation or a standard withholding run category, or is it a supplemental tax run category? So all that we saw in our yesterday's class. Before we move ahead, any question from previous class? Because now, today we are going to look into run category into detail. We will go into other two tabs on run category configuration. Okay, so let's get started. We finish up to general. Now we will get started with non-active. So when we are saying non-active, what non-active means to us? In Workday, as compared to any other system, there are only three statuses at an employee life cycle what we are maintaining. First is active. Active is like employees active and they are working. So we saw that for active, we set up a rule on our general tab where we say that we want to pick every single active, and that is what is expected from any payroll. All the active employees should be considered as a part of payroll calculation, and then payroll should calculate them based on their hourly rate or based on their annual salary. If they have any allowances, those allowances should be calculated based on what is the allowance frequency. Is this allowance is going to get paid on a pay period basis, or is this allowance is going to paid once in a year or once in a quarter, depending on how compensation set them up. When we're talking about active, we expect payroll to calculate their taxes, statutory taxes accurately for employee portion of it and employer portion of it. If employee is having any voluntary deductions, those deductions should come out. If employee is having any benefit elections, those deductions should come out. After taking out, after all the deduction, all the taxes, the check will get produced with gross and net. So that is what we are expecting normally when we are talking about active. But now when we saying that non-active, so if my employee who falls in my non-active bucket, so my non-active bucket is all the employees who are on leave. Now leave, there are two types of leave. One is leave without pay, one is leave with pay, and one is without pay. So when we are talking about leave without pay, again, the status in Workday is on leave only. So there is no segregation saying that, like we have this segregation of statuses in SAP or in PeopleSoft in any other system, where we saw that employees having leave without pay as a status, leave with pay as a status, or terminated with pay as a status, terminated as a status. But in Workday, there are only simple three statuses: active, on leave, and terminated, period. So how payroll will know that employee is on leave with paid pay or without pay? And if you remember when we spoke about it, there is a checkbox on my leave definition, which tells payroll that if employee is put on this leave, does this leave is considered as a paid leave or non-paid leave? If that checkbox, and that checkbox is called payroll effect, if that checkbox is checked, then it is an unpaid leave, which means that payroll will stop employee paying. But if the checkbox is not checked, it means that payroll will consider that employee is out on leave but with pay, and payroll will continue paying employee as active employee was getting paid. But again, there is a catch. If we talk about the short-term disability, so short-term disability is normally a paid leave of absence, but we don't want employee to get a regular salary, which is kind of 100% salary. Mostly what customer or mostly the best practice in industry is that whenever employee is going on short-term disability, we need to calculate employees short-term disability earning. And there are multiple reasons. First, the short-term disability is provided by insurance provider. It is not coming out of organization or a company who is having who is having an employee as a employed person. So that is the reason why we cannot keep paying regular salary. We want to spit out STD, and again, based on company to company, some companies give STD first couple of weeks are at 100%, then it eventually reduced to 75, then 60, then 40, 50, and then finally, there is no, because then employee get transitioned to LTD. So for STD, there is a rule that employee need to produce a paperwork. That paperwork need to be get approved, and when paperwork get approved, then employee transition from active to STD, and then payroll need to process their STD like that. So as I said, now how will I let payroll know that employee is on short-term disability? Again, because when employee is on short-term disability, I don't want regular salary to come out. I want payroll to stop the regular salary and pay short-term disability salary to them. In order to do that, my short-term disability should have payroll effect checkbox as checked, which means that whenever employee gets put on short-term disability, payroll will see that, okay, the checkbox is checked on short-term disability, so let's stop the regular pay. But because short-term disability, we need to pay employee out, we have another earning code called short-term disability, and we have a calculation rule based on at what process or in what passage or in what phase of a short-term disability employee is in. Is employee is in 100% short-term disability, or is it in 75% or a 50%, or now employee exhausted all the options and now employee can go on locked-up disability, which is typically unpaid leave, or payroll will not paid, so there is nothing will come out as a check to employee. So in non-active tab, that is a place where I define that when my regular salary stops, what earning code will get calculated, will get processed, so that employee will get some dollar amount on their check. In this screenshot, if you see, the first thing is long-term disability. So based on this configuration, we are saying that if employee is on leave, and what kind of a leave? Canada long-term disability and USA long-term disability. So if employee is on one of these leave type, then calculate long-term disability pay earning. Now, by looking into this, I don't know that what that earning calculation look like. Is it 50%? It is 25%? What kind of a percentage it is? Yeah, Anwar, go ahead. Anwar, do you have a question? If you're talking on mute.
Sorry, I didn't have the unmute button. But anyway, could you just repeat again about the status? Because I know you mentioned about SAP, right? In SAP, there was an active, inactive, right? Even though the person is on the short-term disability or or terminated, the person has the status and active, inactive, right? So how in Workday we have the status? Because I see on your screen, they are like on leave, terminated, and so on and so forth. But inside it must be translating those status to active and inactive, isn't it?
Yep. So terminated is for sure inactive. When employee is not terminated or not on leave, then employee is in active status. Now the tricky part is when employee is on leave, how we considered employee. Do we consider employee as an active or do we consider employee as an inactive? So what Workday do is on leave configuration, it provide a checkbox, and that checkbox is saying that this when employee is on this leave type, consider this employee as inactive for our headcount report or any headcount reporting mechanism. If that checkbox is unchecked, then employee is considered as active, but their HR status is on leave. And I can quickly show that, then it will make more sense to you guys.
Okay.
So let's see, view leave type. Okay. Short-term disability USA. Let's see how this leave type is configured. So this is a leave type definition. As it says, this leave type is specific to United States and it is enabled for only employee. And these are the check boxes what I was talking about. So these normally called as leave impacts. So when employees on short-term disability, in this definition, employee is not inactivated, which means that employee is considered as active, but their HR status is on leave. Payroll effect is yes, which means that payroll will stop paying their regular salary. And if employee is expected to get any earning code or any dollar amount to be paid to them, then it has to be defined on this non-active tab of run category. So if you observe the second last row on the screenshot, short-term disability pay. So what we are saying, calculate earning code called short-term disability pay when employee status is on leave and employees on leave type disability short-term Canada, disability short-term USA. Does this make sense?
Yes, I was not aware that there are so many flags on the leave type itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for that insight.
Yep. So this is how the leave are having a cross-functional impact. So we looked into inactive, we looked into payroll. If I have a absence accrual effect flag check, which means that when employee gets on this leave, they should stop accruing for their PTO plans. If benefit effect is yes, then employee should stop getting benefit. There should be a benefit event, and then there will be a need to revise their benefit election. Similarly, when employees on leave, their stock vesting should be, should be re-trigger, or by the time employees on leave, the stock vesting period should be increased by that duration. Similarly, when employees on leave with continuous service effect as yes, then it means that employees service is stopped, and when they come back, again it get kickstarted. So there are different effects based on what kind of a leave it is. So when I'm in absence consultant, they configure this, they normally go by the policy or a employee handbook, and based on that, they set this up. What we worried about from a payroll perspective is payroll effect, yes or no. If I see payroll effect yes, that means employee will not be considered to be processed as per the general rule, I need to do a separate configuration or additional configuration on non-active tab of a run category if I'm expecting employee to get paid under certain earnings code. Okay.
So Avi, one just follow up on that. So if the person returns back from the disability or returns from the leave of absence, the flag that you were showing earlier, either takes the new actions that we applied, it takes the flag from there and ignores the previous one. I mean,
no.
How that?
So when employee return from leave, then their status automatically changes from on leave to active. So again, I mean, employee becomes active. So they are no longer on leave.
Okay, so all the other flags that you showed earlier, that gets reset?
They gets resetted, yes.
Okay.
They gets resetted based on return from leave date or first day in office again. So from first day in office effective date, all the flags are resetted. So everything again, I mean, their absence accrual get restarted, their payroll get restarted. We have inactivated as yes, then they become activated and they will again come as a active headcount in headcount report.
Okay, it makes sense. Yeah, please continue. Thank you for that insight.
No problem. Okay, so now let's get into tenant and see what else we have on run category on non-active tab. So again, we will look for a keyword run cat and I will pull in regular. We will go on non-active on cycle or on demand replacement. So basically on cycle is on cycle, on demand is off cycle. So what rule we configure here in GMS? I want long-term disability to be calculated when employee is on long-term disability leave. And if I want to see this earning, let's pull this earning code. We will learn more about earning code, but let's see what this earning code is calculating. So this earning code is saying under eligibility section, you can see that calculate this earning code or resolve this earning code only if employee is on long-term disability leave. Fair enough. Because I don't want this earning to be calculated for active employees. This earning code is meant for long-term disability. So I will first check that employee is on long-term disability or not. If yes, then only go ahead and resolve it. Now, what my calculation rule is saying? My calculation rule is saying base prorated divided by pay frequency factor. Let's open this formula. So base prorated divided by frequency, period frequency factor. I will further dig down here, and this is a Workday owned. And what it says, return frequency factor numeric value for the period. This represents the frequency factor that is associated with the frequency tied to corresponding period schedule. So we are working with semi-monthly. So my frequency factor will be 24 because that is how I'm de-annualizing anything. Now, from where that base prorated is coming, let's go and check that. So it is saying base prorated is coming from benefit plan insurance coverage amount. So it is taking benefit plan coverage amount and then dividing that number by 24 because I am working with semi-monthly. If it is bi-weekly, then that pay frequency factor will be 26. And because I'm using benefit calculation, so I'm expecting that it should tell me what benefit plan, because if we go and check, let's take Betty Lou as an example. Okay. And if we check Betty Lou's benefit elections, active benefit elections, We are here. Yeah. Does Betty Lou is having any long-term disability plan? Let's check. I don't see she is having any benefit plan, long-term benefit plan. But someone who is having benefit plan, they have a coverage amount, and that coverage amount is pulled by that calculation what we have here. So that will pull the coverage amount, and that coverage amount, annual coverage amount, will get divided by 24, and then whatever amount is coming, that is going to be my long-term disability earning amount for the period. This is how we make connection. We will do more practice. We will look into more when we get into earnings chapter. But this is just a quick preview. Just to, I know you are curious how it is going to calculate. So I just show how we can build a calculation, how we can make the connections between cross-functional modules. But from run category standpoint, it is important to define this condition under non-active tab. So now, whenever we put employee on LTD under these two leave types, employee is going to get paid under an earning code called long-term disability. But what is the condition for them to get paid? First, they need to be on these leave types. Second, they are elected under, or they elect that long-term disability benefit plan for plan what we have on our earnings code. Because if they haven't elected benefit plan, there is no coverage amount. And when there is no coverage amount, anything, 0 is getting divided by 24, results into 0. So earning will get calculated, but earning will calculated with 0. So one condition I can think of missing here is I would like to put one more condition under worker eligibility saying that employee is enrolled in benefit plan what I have on my earnings code. Because as I said, if employee is not enrolled, but employee is on LTD, payroll will end up resolving the earning code with $0, which is kind of a nuisance on my paycheck. If I'm not getting anything, why should I see that row with $0? It makes no sense. To stop that, what I will do, I will make a condition saying that first, employee need to be on LTD. Second, employee need to be enrolled in benefit plan for LTD. If both the conditions are true, go ahead and calculate dollar amount for me. If any one of this condition is false, which means that my eligibility is not getting passed, so earning will not get resolved. So on my paycheck, I will not see any LTD earnings. And guys, this is very important because you don't want earning code to be resolved on paycheck if employee is not eligible. There are two things. First, it will look ugly on paycheck. Second, there will be an additional burden on my calculation engine, because even though it is calculating 0, but sequentially payroll calculation engine need to evaluate eligibility, need to go through calculation formula and then resolve earning. So it is taking system resource, which makes my payroll processing slow. So key thing is more tighter your eligibility, that will give you faster execution or faster run of your payroll process. Okay. Let's switch back. So this is what we saw. Now there is a salary, base pay and severance ongoing. I'm saying that I want to calculate these two pay component or these two earnings when employee is terminated, but I don't want to calculate for every single terminated employee. I want to calculate these earnings code for terminated employee who satisfy this condition. And what does it? That condition is workers pay through date is greater than or equal to period start date, which means that pay through date need to fall in pay period for which I'm processing my payroll. If this condition is true, then I would like to calculate, or I would like these earning codes to be resolved. Now, again, there should be a condition underneath, or there should be
What is pay through date means?
uh, pay through date means. Do you know anything about severance package?
No.
Okay. So in US, whenever there is a reduction in force, now reduction in force is like pandemic started. Now all the hotels were closed. So they don't need, they never required that much of a staff what they used to have before pandemic. So what they say, we will let people go. Instead of 4, we just need 1, or instead of 4, we just need 2. So when they let these 2 people go, they cannot just, cut down like, oh, we don't come from tomorrow. No, that is not possible. They need to offer them, or they need to give them some cover, so that and that cover changes from company to company, condition to condition, industry to industry, job level to job level. So normally what company says, okay, we are reducing our workforce and we are very sorry for that, but we will give you 45 days of salary as your severance package, or we will pay you next 6 months salary as a severance package. Now there are multiple type of severance package. In some cases, there is a lump sum. So normally, when this happens, the paperwork is hand over to employee with multiple options. And multiple options are like, take lump sum money and walk out of the door. In second case, don't take lump sum money, but we will keep paying you 80% of your salary or 100% of your salary for next 6 months. Now, if employee go with option 1, then as part of their full and final payout, lump sum amount gets paid out. But if employee go with option 2, then we need to keep running their payroll for next 6 months. And how do we tell that, okay, when we want to stop it? We will set the pay through date. So if employee is getting terminated today and they sign the option 2 to get paid for next 6 months, my pay through date will be today's date plus 6 months. And that pay through date I will set in my system. So every time, whenever I am running a payroll, this condition for that employee will get evaluated. Is my pay through date is greater than my period start date? Yes. Then let's go ahead and calculate severance pay for employee. When the period comes that my pay through date is now lower or smaller than my period start date, it means that 6 months are over. There is no need to pay. The severance amount is paid as per the agreement. So no need to pay, no need to process employees payroll, and no need to pay severance amount. Is it clear now?
Yes, and one other question. So is severance only given to full-time employees or are part-time employees?
It depends. It depends. As I said, there is no written rule, but it depends on, your offer letter, what contract you have. Contractual employee may get, but again, it has to be mentioned in your contract, then only. Or it depends on, under what circumstances company is doing reduction in force. Is it, the company is getting bankrupt, or company is downsizing, or company is acquired by any other company? Depends on situation. Things change a lot. So it is kind of a fluid. There is no statutory or there is no legal guideline saying that this is what you need to follow as a rule. But yeah, one thing is sure, whenever there is a reduction in force, there is some kind of a severance package to be offered.
Okay, thank you.
So this is what in case of termination. Now, third thing, again, we can see that when employee is on leave, and what kind of a leave? There is no leave type mentioned. That means this is applicable for every single leave type what we have in our tenant. So it is not specific to disability. It is not specific to long-term disability. It is not specific to paternity or maternity. If employee is on leave, we want these earning codes to be paid. And what those earning codes are? Floating holiday, salary-based pay, sick pay, vacation paid. and there is one pay component group which is called benefits during leave. If we can open this pay component group, we can see the member. So it has member earnings, and most of them look like they are imputed incomes. So imputed income will get calculated, and there are deductions, and all these deductions are basic deductions like life insurance deduction for employer portion of it, then standard life employer portion, dental post-tax, dental pre-tax, medical. So all these pre-tax and post-tax deduction, if there are any, what employee elected, we want them to be calculated when employee is out on leave, any kind of leave. So let's assume that employee is on short-term disability. So what we are expecting for short-term disability, what we are expecting payroll to calculate, here it's a long-term disability, so this will not get calculated. This is for terminated, so this is not condition for short-term disability. This is condition for short-term disability because I have leave type wide open. So when employees on short-term disability, all this earnings code and this pay component group will get calculated. On top of it, short-term disability pay earning code will get calculated, because here I am saying that when leave type is any one of two, calculate short-term disability. Okay, so let's go and dig in further, because it is something similar to what we checked on long-term disability earning. Let's see how this is configured. So similar structure, if employee is on short-term disability leave, then only process this leave. And again, it is same, base prorated upon pay frequency factor. Base prorated is coming from benefit plan insurance coverage amount. And if I go and check, instead of long-term disability, now we have a short-term disability benefit plans. So I keep it open side by side. This is LTD earning, where we have all LTD plans. This is STD earning, where I have all STD plans. But if employee want to get into it, they need to be enrolled in these plans. Now, here you can see short-term disability. There are two type of short-term disability. One is saying pay at 60%. Another one is saying pay at 70%. And what is my criteria? If my year of service is less than 5, employee having a short-term disability, they will get paid 60% of their salary. But if my year of service is more than 5, then they are eligible to get 70% of their base salary. So automatically, based on their year of service, their election or their eligibility to elect benefit plan changes. But again, I mean, we are not worried about it, because all this thing is handled by benefit consultant or by benefit team. What we are worried about is we need to just make this connection. We need to know that if I'm paying short-term disability, how my math will work, how I calculate what I need to pay. Do my math says pay 70% of base salary, or do my math say pay 70% of annual coverage amount in that benefit plan? So we need to know that, and that is what we are worried about as a payroll consultant.
So how the system knows? Because here there are 3 criteria, right?
There are 3 benefit plans. So
yeah,
if you correlate this to your real-time employment, your employer is offering you PPO, EPO, and premium plan for medical. You elect one of them based on what suits you. Correct? But when I'm configuring deduction, medical pre-tax deduction, I don't want to configure medical pre-tax deduction for three codes for 3 different plans, because underlying calculation is same. Whatever is your pay period premium, I want to deduct that. It's up to you what you are electing, and it's up to benefit plan configuration to spit out or to calculate that premium amount for me. Similarly here, based on employees' eligibility or how many years of service they have, benefit plan, I mean, when employees going and doing a benefit election, the eligibility rules are embedded in benefit plans. So they will see the option they are eligible for. And when they see option, they will elect it. And based on that, if we need to derive anything, we will derive it. But based on this calculation, benefit plan is doing everything. So what benefit plan is doing? Benefit plan is passing us coverage amount. And what we are doing, we are just dividing that by our pay frequency. But instead of benefit passing me, if benefit say, oh, we are not passing anything, you just need to read our plan. And if it is 70% plan, pay 70% of semi-monthly salary to employee. Then I need to put a conditional cal, because then I need to first check employees enrolled in any plan. If employees enrolled in any plan, is employee enrolled in 70% plan? If employee enrolled in 70% plan, then I will put an arithmetic calculation saying that, okay, grab the semi-monthly salary and multiply that semi-monthly salary by 70%.
But it seems like here we are checking first whether the person is enrolled in the Liberty Mutual program or not, right? And then we are checking.
Yeah, so we are not actually, if you see, we are not. So eligibility is not stopping them. If employee is not at all enrolled, still earning will get calculated. But will I get this coverage amount is dependent on employees' enrollment into plan. And to answer your question, yes, there are 3 plans in which employee can enroll. So, but employee cannot be enrolled in 3 plans at once. They will be in either one of them. So all these 3 plans are mutually exclusive to each other. So they will be in plan 1 or plan 2 or plan 3.
So they basically there is an or condition in between among these 3.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out, is the and or.
But again, I cannot know by looking into my earning code that the election between these 3 plans is mutually exclusive or not. It is something need to be controlled on benefit side. So they need to do a validation saying that you can enroll only in 1 plan, not in more than 1 plan. Otherwise, everything will go for toss. Okay. Yeah.
One more thing, I'm getting confused regarding the run category, right? I'm seeing that, when you are setting the run category US_regular, we have to list down all the earnings and deductions in that particular run category. Is that the right understanding?
Right and wrong both. So let me take a step back, and this is normally a very confusing. When we hear first time, it sounds like, we need to list out everything. Yes and no. Why I'm saying yes and no? Because yes, we need to list out, because if we don't list out, system will not get calculate anything. What system by default is, so let's assume that I forgot and I don't have any single thing configured on this tab. If I set the run category like that, and if my employees on leave and I calculate their payroll, what system by default is going to calculate is, system will going to calculate their statutory taxes, and if there are any compensation one-time payment, or if there are any payroll input which we loaded on pay line, those will get calculated by default. No matter what, I have those codes listed out here or not. But if any one of this is not true, then employee will not get calculated. Employee will actually get skipped from my calculation engine. And if I don't want that, then I know that for specifically in case of terminated employee, what I'm expected to be calculated, what I'm expected to pay out to them, what I'm expected to calculate as a benefit for them, what I expected to calculate as a earning for them. So we need to think through that, and based on that, we will put these rows in the run category. If we know beforehand, awesome, nothing like that. But normally when we do end-to-end testing or a system testing in project life cycle, that is the time we come to know that, okay, I put employee on leave and I am expecting short-term disability to come out. I am expecting taxes to come out. I am expecting, all the pre-tax deductions to come out. And now, employee is not getting calculated. What will be the reason? Come on, run category and see, do you have anything? No, that answers your question that why employee got skipped. Now, if I have something here, but still I can see that partial calculation, like short-term disability earning is coming, but none of my pre-tax deductions are coming. Where I will see, I will come to this tab and I will see, oh, I have a row for short-term disability earning code, but there is nothing I am calculating on deduction side. So what I will do, I will put something as a pay component group called pre-tax. If I want to calculate every single pre-tax deduction, yes, go ahead and put pre-tax. No need to list out every single deduction code. All the deduction codes which are grouped under pay component group called pre-tax, and they are these many. So 21 deductions are there which we categorize as pre-tax. If my policy says on short-term disability, calculate all 21. Employee should contribute or employee should pay premium for all 21 deductions. Yep. There is no need for me to list out 21 deductions on this column. I will just go ahead and I will say, okay, calculate short-term disability earning and calculate all pre-tax deductions. And I am done. Recalculate payroll and you will see the expected result. But yes, to make the calculation happen, we need to list out earnings and deduction on this tab. Similarly, for terminated, if we are paying severance, like severance lump sum or severance ongoing, we need to have included them, and we need to tell system that pay ongoing if pay through date is greater than pay period start date. In case of lump sum, there is no restriction because this pay severance lump sum is coming from compensation. So if compensation is processing, it means that they evaluate all the condition. They know that employee is eligible to get this much dollar amount as lump sum. If they are processing payment, payroll will suck it up. Payroll will process that. That's all. Does that clarify, Anwar?
Yeah. So the only thing is the garnishments and taxes, those are, you don't have to list down.
Taxes, we don't have to, but garnishments, we have to if expectation for them to come out.
Okay. And when we are paying bonus, we don't have to list any of these things, just the bonus amount.
Now, bonus is when we are normally, 90% of the times I saw that bonus is not getting paid when employee is out on leave. When they come back from leave, if they are eligible for any bonus, like full bonus or partial bonus or prorated bonus, they will get paid their bonus when they come back from leave. There normally, as a HR practice, you never pay bonus or you never give salary increase while employee is out on short-term disability or long-term disability, because we never know that employee is going to come back again or not. But in case of active, no need, right? Because active anyways, everything will get calculated for them. There is no need for mentioning separately when we are processing earnings and deductions for active population. But if you, if your organization is generous and they want to give bonus for employee on STD or LTD, answer is yes, we need to include bonus as payroll component to calculate. Otherwise, it will not get calculated.
And maybe one last thing, earlier someone asked about the pay through date. So is the pay through date comes during the termination BP?
It comes as part of your severance worksheet. So there is a functionality in compensation called severance worksheet. So when employees negotiating with HR populate, dollar amount, what they agreed upon into that severance worksheet, and that actually holds that pay through date. And that severance worksheet is one of the sub-step in your termination BP. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Good questions, guys. So this is all about non-active. So when we are talking about non-active, we are predominantly considering on leave and terminated. Now, last but not the least, off cycles. So when we are processing off cycles, we need to tell, again, it's kind of annoying, but we need to tell system through run category that what pay component or what pay component group I want to calculate on my off cycle payments. Again, by default, employee taxes and employer taxes will get calculated, but earning codes, deduction codes to calculate, we need to list them out. Similarly, how we list them out for non-active. So we can take first example. So in this first example, we are saying that I want all the 401k pre-tax or post-tax or match to be calculated when I'm processing an off-cycle payment with reason, additional pay or bonus. And one more thing, when I am processing off-cycle payment for active, so if I end up processing off-cycle payment under off-cycle reason of additional pay or bonus for employee who is on leave, what I'm expecting, nothing gets calculated for them. And why only deductions are there? You may ask me question that, okay, only deductions are there. Why there is no earning? If there is no earning, how the deduction will come out? Just think about it. When you are processing off cycle, do you expect anything to become automatically or any connections to be automatic? Because in what scenario we process off cycle? If we miss something on cycle, or if we are correcting our on cycle payment, that is the time when we are doing off cycle. And when we are paying additional, we know that what we are paying. So 99.99% of the time when I'm processing off cycle, I am loading that information directly as a payroll input onto pay line. And as, if you remember, I said, if we load anything on pay line, then that will get processed by default. No matter what, we have that earning code, or we have that deduction code, or we have that tax code listed out on run category tab or not. Okay. And why then? What is my need to have a 401k? The reason being, if I am loading bonus as off-cycle off-cycle payment, I still want 401k to come out, because 401k are formula is same. 401k is pulling the 401k eligible earning times your election percentage. So my 401k is dependent on earnings. That is why I need to mention all the codes which are dependent on my earning code, what I am going to process. Does that make sense? So what I'm trying to emphasize here is that you cannot just blindly put all the codes on run category tabs for non-active or active. You need to think logically. How I configure this earning, how I configure this deduction, and if I don't put anything, does this going to come out? On top of it, you need to question yourself, how is this information is going to come into payroll? Is this information is get processed outside payroll, and then as a effect of that transaction, I need to get it paid in payroll, or do I need to load directly into payroll? If I'm going to load directly into payroll, I don't need here because system will calculate that default. But if compensation is processing, and then I'm going to grab that value and process that in my off cycle, yes, then in that case, I need to include that earning code on my list. Otherwise, it is not going to get calculated. And if I have 50 earning codes to calculate for off cycle, does those 50 earning codes having any common thread or any common flavor? Like, can I group them together? If I can group them together, let me bundle them into pay component group. So it will be easier for me to just include that pay component group instead of loading 50 different codes. And the reason why I'm emphasizing on pay component group is that from the sake of maintenance, if tomorrow 10 more earning code we are going to create new, and if they follow the same trend, they are part of this bundle, then it is easier that I created 10 new code, and they are part of this pay component group. So automatically my pay component group is here. So there is no need for me to come back and revisit my run category and do some edits. So there is no way I can miss. And if I miss, it is not coming, then I need to revisit, I need to re-include. So maintenance will be very easy. So always think when you are configuring, always think how can we maintain it. It is not one-time job that I am doing implementation and I am washing my hands away. I need to think that whatever I am building as a configuration, is it scalable? Is it maintainable? Is it going to make life easy for my customer? And at the same time, it is easy for you as well, because you are saving 49 data entries on your side. Because if that pay component group is having 50 earning codes, you just need to put once instead of 50 times. So think through that, and then decide that what way you want to put the entry. Sometimes there is a case where it is not getting grouped. So if there is no possibility of grouping them into pay component group, let's go ahead and key in those codes. Okay.
One question. So I can see like general run, what are the pay components and what criteria needs to be there. Similarly, inactive or non-active. And then also I see on demand. But how about retros? It doesn't talk about, what pay components I need to process during the, retro processing.
Okay. So for retro, if I'm processing retro, isn't it same as my on cycle?
Again, it depends on whether certain, pay components may not be allowed to retro.
Yep. So we will come to that, but just think, from concept per se, you need to process retro for your whole population, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So typically what you configure as a rule for processing for your on-cycle payroll, that should hold good for your retro as well.
Generally speaking, yes.
Yeah. So whatever you configure as criteria for general, that will hold good when you are processing your retro.
Okay.
Because for off cycle, you don't need retro. You need off cycle to process retro, but there is no way you can create, retro for a off cycle. We always create retro on cycle. If something is not paid, or if there is a situation of overpayment or underpayment, we can either club those, owe money or pay money onto my next on cycle. But if employee cannot wait for next on cycle, we normally process those retro changes on off cycle and clean those retro things. So that is a reason why for retro there is no need for non-active or off cycle.
Okay. And then the other thing is, I don't know, do you guys make available like configuration workbook so we all can get a sense, how we are collecting these information?
I can show you, but I cannot share that with you, to be honest, Anwar. But what you can do is, if you have a Workday community access, you can go and search on community. If any other customer they shared it, then you can make use of it. But configuration workbook is restricted for implementer only.
Yeah, I was searching on the community portal. I didn't see anywhere.
Yeah,
So
because those tool set and design kits, they are restricted from general user or end user. They are open just for implementer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll search again, Anna.
Yeah, I mean, give a try, because I mean, some of the threads, end customer, they tend to share. So if you are lucky enough, you come across that post, you can make use of it.
Okay. And is it filled or just empty?
It filled with 1 or 2 sample data row. Okay. I can show you. I mean, I'm working for one of my customer. So this is how it look like. So this is there are 2 configuration workbook, workbook 1 and workbook 2.
We can't see your other screen.
Okay. Yeah, give me 1 second. Share. Okay. Okay. So here you go. Payroll tax data. So this is, tax workbook where you have company federal tax, company state tax, company local tax, if there are any other tax, and then there are cross-reference table for county, work county, resident county, city. So this is how it looks like. And let me see if there is any employee level thing is there. No, I think all this is config data. But there is one more workbook where you can define employees W4 data, like what is their federal tax election look like, their marital status, their dependent allowances, their additional amount, all that. So I will pull something. I will get blank ones, and as one of
blank one just to get a sense.
Yeah, no, I will walk you. I can show you in one of our session.
Okay. Yeah, this is very helpful. It gives a sense of how we are collecting the data.
Yeah.
Right.
So luckily I just started a new project. So I'm conducting their design workshops.
Or at least if you add like only 1 or 2 examples in it and share it with us, that would be really very helpful to all of us.
As I said, I can show you so that it will be in the recording. So if you want, you can circle back and see that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
So we will plan, one of the session where we can focus on workbooks.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Rakhi.
Okay. So I hope on the run category we are clear now. Any doubt or anything which is unclear? And as I said, it is conceptually just try to get it conceptually. When you start doing practice in tenant, you will learn more about it.
Seems to me like a run category is dependent on the country. Is that right?
Not necessary, but we can restrict it to country.
Yeah.
But as I said, if I have a same rule, I can keep it wide open. So this is not a mandatory. So if I don't select any country, then I can use same run category for my US. I can use same run category for Canada, for France, for UK. But if they are different from each other, then we need to restrict them.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. Now we will go on payment election rule if time permits today. but I really want to get started with pay group. Now, what pay group is? So pay group is organization, but it is called pay group and it is not part of organization. So when you do on your HCM, if you process your change organization BP, you will not see pay group on it. For pay group, there is a dedicated BP called assigned pay group. And why? The reason is that although the fundamentally pay group is nothing but it's an organization, and in Workday we define organization as a group of employee who are grouped together based on common feature. So common organizations are supervisory org, which means that all the employees who are part of that supervisory org are in that supervisory org because they have a common reporting manager. If I put employee into cost center, then there is a common theme in those employees that they charge their cost to that cost center. If I have a group of employee, they are excellent performer, then why I group them together? Because their last year's performance rating is excellent performer. That's why they are part of that organization. Similarly, when we are putting employee into specific pay group, why we put those employees into that pay group? There are multiple reasons. First, they have some common nature, like they are all non-exempt, or they belong to particular location, or they belong to particular company, or they are getting paid at same frequency. So the most important factor for grouping them is they are getting paid at same frequency. That is the reason why they are part of this pay group. Other than that, as I said, they are part of same location. They are part of same job profile or level of job profiles. Based on that, we normally factored our pay groups. And again, lower the number, less the number of pay group, better it is, because that way we don't need to run the payroll again and again. So let's assume that I have 7 pay groups, which means that for running a complete payroll for that period, I need to run my pay calculation 7 times for each pay group. Another way is to group them together into something called pay run group. So I can just kickstart my process for that one pay run group and I'm done. But there are cases I saw that there is no way we can restrict or we can reduce the pay group. The reason is either company is too big that I don't want to put 100,000 employees into one pay group, because what will happen when I kickstart the pay run for them, all 100,000 employees will get calculated on that, and my pay run is going to take hours of time to get completed. In that case, to get an advantage of parallel processing, what I would do is I will break down my 100,000 employees into some logical chunks based on executive group into one. Then I will divide them by East Coast, based on West Coast, South, and further North. By doing so, what I'm going to achieve? First thing, I will have a good control on who can see what. Like, I can compartment my security, because if I'm running a payroll for 100,000, then definitely there will be a big payroll team, and then specific people are responsible for specific population geographically. If someone is supporting South payroll, then they will not be aware of East. And if they are not going to run East, why will I give them access to see the East data? That will give me good control. At the same time, I divided my 100,000 employees into 5 groups, which means that all this payroll team, they can kickstart their pay calculations concurrently. So all the parents will run in parallel to make maximum usage of system. So these are some of the design factors we need to consider when we are forming pay groups. Okay, We'll cover that, all this in tenant, and then we will cover this, and then we will cover pay run group and pay group assignment auto. Okay, perfect. Now let's switch into tenant pay group. So assign pay group, I was talking about this. So this is a business process, assign pay group. Now this business process can be a standalone business process, or it can be a sub process to other business process such as hire, such as change job. Because when we are hiring an employee, we want HR who is performing an hire, we want them to put employee into pay group. When they are changing or when they are doing transfer, promotion or demotion, if because of any of this transaction, if their pay group is going to change, then we want them to assign them into correct pay group. If we stick to our example, if employee is transferring from north to south, then we definitely want pay group to be changed from north to south. Then we will embed this assign pay group as part of change job. So when they are performing this transfer through change job, this sub process will be triggered, and then HR will switch their pay group from north to south so that they will be in correct pay group for their payroll processing. Now, instead of creating payroll, I will go and I will see if there is any existing pay group. Yeah, so I will go and check on existing pay group. Semi-monthly, I will go with that. Semi-monthly professional. Let's open this. Instead of opening into, or instead of viewing, I would like to edit. So this is what I want to show. So although it is saying pay group, it is not showing anywhere. It is not showing organization. But if I want to edit, you will see the organization. And in order to edit pay group, you need to go under organization and you need to click on task called edit organization. Then it will open up. So we can name our pay group how we want to name it. Type of organization is pay group. We can set the availability date, and this availability date is normally we set up as 1/1/2000. But if we are converting employees who are hired before 1/1/2000, then we can pick availability date as 1/1/1900. The key is that you need to have an availability date prior to oldest or the most senior employee in the company, so that if we end up assigning that pay group to that employee, it is available to get assigned. Subtype is pay group. We can edit name and code by clicking on that. So currently there is no code, but if I want to put some alphanumeric code or anything, it's a free flowing text box. So we can put anything here. So again, it's not a mandatory, but just in case, if I want to maintain this like US SM Pro, if this is my code, which is easy to remember, I can go ahead and I can do it. If I want this code to be part of my name, I can check this box. But I don't want to show in name. I don't want to maintain code. That is fair on my part. There is no need. Okay. So then we have a pay group. Now, is this pay group is part of payroll interface? If answer is yes, we need to check this box. But if we are planning to use this pay group for Workday payroll, don't check that box and set the country. Now, why country is important? Because when we define that this pay group is being used by country, then pay group currency get defaulted. So if I say that USA semi-monthly professional corporate is meant to be used for country USA, then default currency for this pay group is USD. And there is another section where we can assign the auto assignment rule, and this is very important. Now, as I said, we are working with a customer who has 100,000 employees. Now, with such a large employee base, there will be hundreds of transfer happening from one region to another region. There will be few hundred of transfers or promotions, they are happening for that. If that many hundred or thousands of transfers are happening throughout the day, is it advisable to ask HR or to force HR to go and assign pay group? No, that is not efficiency. Workday give us a rule where I can configure saying that if location state is in south, if my proposed location state in south, proposed pay group is going to be south pay group. If proposed location state is in north, proposed pay group is going to be north. That way, the pay group is going to get pre-populated based on the rule what we configure here. And if HR forget to assign pay group, this auto assign rule will assign correct pay group as per the rule onto worker record, and then the worker will have a correct pay group and eventually they will get picked up or they will get processed into correct pay run. So this is very important, and I always say that these are the small things where we can gain the efficiency, and these are the things which actually wow the customer. So always make use of this, and it is very easy. So it is just like business process condition rule. What this rule is saying, if primary worker address country is United States, location proposed is San Francisco, pay rate proposed is salaried, and job exempt is yes, pay group rule equal to no. So there is another pay group rule which says US executive. So if employee is not part of executive and all these conditions are true, then assign semi-monthly professional corporate to employee. Just define this rule, and there is no need to bother that employee is assigned to pay group or not. If we don't assign this group, and by mistake, if HR forget to do assignment in assigned pay group, which is part of hire or transfer BP, if they forget it, there are two scenarios. If they forget in hire, employee never be a part of any pay group, which means that they will never ever get picked up by payroll. In case of transfer, if they forget to change their pay group, employees still get picked up and still get processed under old pay group. So in case of transfer, the impact is not that bad. But again, if you are doing a payroll balance against your headcount report, then you will not be able to match the employee getting processed on payroll versus the headcount for that region.
So isn't this a mandatory field? Because I see
It
a
is.
star in there.
No, it is not a mandatory field. Country is a mandatory field.
Okay.
So this is optional, but as a consultant, you always advise to make use of it. But again, as I said, we can make use of, there are pros and cons with this. So whatever I spoke about up till this point for automatic assignment is all their pros. But to implement this, you need to have a clear-cut demarcation between one assignment of one pay group to assignment of another pay group. If there is any overlap, then your rule is not going to work, because in order for your rule to work, your rules need to be mutually exclusive to each other, which means that if I have a 4 pay group, I set my auto assign rule on 4, which means that at any given point of time, only one rule will return true. If 2 rules end up returning true, then my logic is going to messed up, which means that system will get confused that, okay, what pay group should I assign to this employee? Because the auto assign rule on 2 of the pay group are returning true. So before we go and we say customer that, okay, let's implement this, we need to understand that how they are assigning their pay group. When you talk to them, when you interviewed your questionnaire with them, it will be clear in your mind that the rule what they are saying, they are mutually exclusive to each other or not. Like I said, my rule are simple. If it is north, assign north pay group. If it is south, assign south pay group. If it is east, assign east. If it is west, assign west. So dividing pay group based on region is very easy. They are mutually exclusive. But if there is any overlap, like an executive, what should I assign to executive from north? What pay group should I assign for executive from south? So that will have some kind of overlap, and that is a place where my logic can go wrong. So when you are proposing this, when you are designing this, you need to be crystal clear that all your rules are mutually exclusive to each other. Otherwise, you will not, able to get the result you are looking for. And then it will be a bad data entry. It will mess up the whole system. Okay. So we...
Just quick question. Do you suggest like having, retirees fall under the different pay group, or is it part of the regular?
If they are retiree, first question I will ask that what we are paying to retiree. If we are paying them pension, and after paying them pension, is there their tax treatment is different? Is their reporting is different? If everything is different, then yes, I do want them to be in their separate pay group, because when I am deciding this, I need to understand that how downstream reporting is happening, how accounts, how my GL need to be run for that group. If they are separate, if they are different from rest of the world, yes, I want them to be in a separate pay group. That way I can segregate them or slice out them separately, and I can do reporting. I can do their general ledger separately. I can have their code separately. If there is any tax difference, I will handle that separately. But if they are same as my active employees, I don't want to, create an overhead of retiree pay group.
Okay.
So next section on pay group is pay group detail. So this is a place where we plug in all our run categories. If my pay group is semi-monthly, and I have, so in this example, we have 3 run categories. One is for regular payment, one is for bonus payment, and one is for commission. If I have run categories, I just plug in my run categories. And the moment I plug in my run categories, on my run category, I include my period schedule. So I can put my period schedule. I can have my pay run group. We will speak about pay run group in a while, but this is not a mandatory. So when you are creating your pay group upfront fresh, you can keep the pay run group blank. There is no need for you to populate pay run group. There is an ability to put the first period as an override period. Now I set my period schedule starting from 2000. But as a part of implementation, my first live payroll in Workday is going to be first period of 2020. Do I need to calculate and close all the period start from 1/1/2000? No. I can still, I can have a period on my period schedule starting from 2000, but I can pick the period what I'm going to process as a first live period in Workday. And that is what here we are doing. Here we are said that my first live period in Workday for my regular payroll is period of 1/1/2019 to 1/15/2019. For my bonus, it will be 11/1/2018 to 1/31/2019. Same is for commission. So the use of first override processing period is only required when we are implementing Workday, or when we are implementing Workday payroll, just to tell system that what will be my first payroll when we started processing in Workday payroll. Then we have an option to set that how many days before or how many days prior we want payslip to be appear or to be available for employee to see under self-service from payment date. If I put -2 days, it means that payslip will be available under self-service for employee to review 2 days prior to my payment date. If I put +2, then payslip will be available for employee to review after 2 days from my payment date. So this is another important thing. We need to talk to our customer and we need to understand how soon they want payslip to be available for review to employee before payment date. And based on that, you can put the number. Okay. Usage count. Now here there is nothing, but here we have 2. The reason why we have 2 here is because this pay group, period schedule and run category combination is processed on 2 pay periods. If we go and check on Betty, you can see that there are 2 pay periods. One of them is completed, another one is in progress. So there are 2 pay cycles calculated for this combination of pay group, run category and period schedule. And that is what we are seeing here as 2. When we complete 116 to 131 and we moved on to next 2-1 period, you will see usage count increase by 1, that is to 3. So here we plug everything together. So this is a place where we group all the processing parameters together. Whatever we learned so far, period schedule, run category and pay group, this is the place where we are bringing in together. And after we bring in together, this is more of a view section or review section where it tells all the information. It tells that what was the last period completed for this run category, what is my current period in progress, and what will be my next period to process. So this is more of an informational grid, but it is very useful grid. If somebody asks you question, do you know what period is in process? Go to pay group, come to this section, and this will tell you everything. You can tell that, okay, there is nothing processed or nothing calculated for bonus and commission, but for regular, I can see that current period, which is in calculation, is 116 to 131, the one which is completed prior to that, and then the next will be 21 to 215. Then next section is again, it's more of a review section. It lists out every single pay period which is there in my period schedule. So if you remember from our yesterday's class, we had pay periods up till 12/31/2020, and then one I created for we have for 12/31/2021. So that is what we have here. So it shows the calendar. So if somebody asks you question asking that how your pay calendar look like, come to pay group and export this out. And this export will tell you that how many pay period, what is my pay start date, what is my pay end date, what is my payment date for that period. And again, it capture the status, pay calculation is started or not, it is in progress or it is completed. You can get everything from here. Okay. So configurations wise, our work end here where we tie together all 3. Once you tie together all 3, rest of the grids get auto populated based on where we are currently in terms of payroll processing. Okay. That is all on pay group setup. There is one more important thing which I would like to cover is security. Now we did everything. So detail will give you what is my pay group start date, what kind of a pay, what is the organization type, visibility. So visibility is very important. There are four values under visibility. Now visibility means who can see that employee is in what pay group. And the 4 options what we have are these. First is everyone, which means that anyone in the tenant, they can see that employee belongs to what pay group. Second is member only, which means that if I am part of pay group, then only I can see my fellow member of that pay group, which means that if me and Anwar, we are in same pay group, I can see that, okay, Anwar is in this pay group in which I am also member. Similarly, he can see that pay group where I am also member. The other two are administrator only. So administrator only means if I am having any admin role on that pay group, like I am owner of that pay group, or I am payroll partner for that pay group, or I am payroll auditor for that pay group, then only I can see all the members who are part of that pay group. But if I am not administrator, then I cannot see. If I'm member, then I can see fellow members, but I cannot see if I'm not a member, I'm not an administrator, then I cannot see that Anwar is part of which pay group. The last option is administrator only, all organization. If we set this option for visibility, then any administrator, not necessarily he is having an administrator role on that pay group. If he is administrator for any other pay group, then also he can see member of first pay group. So if I'm administrator for pay group 2, still I can go and see that, okay, Anwar belongs to pay group 1. So based on how rigid, I mean, again, it in for some organization, it doesn't harm. I mean, they said it doesn't make any sense to show that, okay, employee belongs to what pay group. Some organizations say, even if they know that, okay, Anwar is part, I can see that Anwar is part of pay group 1 and Anwar can see that, okay, Abhi is part of pay group 2. There is no harm because it's just a static value. It doesn't tell that, okay, Anwar is getting what amount Anwar is getting paid or what amount Abhi is getting paid. There is no harm in just showing that, okay, what pay group they belong to. But some organizations, they are very strict on data sharing. They say, oh, we don't want anyone to know they are part of what pay group. So let's not show them. Then let's restrict this only to administrator only, which means that if I am an administrator, then only I can see, no one else can see. So this is one of the important point you want to, I mean, hash out and you want to gather as an input from your customer, how we want to set visibility. Okay. Now details we went through, pay group we already went through. I mean, this is the same thing what I covered, that where we bring all the three together and then we have some review grids where it shows the status, what pay group is in progress and all that. Member tab shows list of every single employee who is part of this pay, I mean, who are member of this pay group. So currently in this pay group there are 51 employees. If employee is assigned, so if I assign that, okay, for supervisory org, there is an open position, and on that open position, this is the pay group where this open position is going to be, then only you can see this information. Otherwise, you will not see this information. So again, it depends on staffing or it depends on core HCM. When they open a position, how much detail they are capturing on that position in position definition or on that position. Roles. This is important. So this is where we define the security. Now Logan, she is the one who created this pay group. So automatically or by default, she becomes owner of this pay group. The another one is that the role which is getting maintained at pay group level is payroll partner. So payroll partner for this pay group is Betty Lou and Logan McNeil. If there is any other role we can define at pay group level, then we need to assign. So let's go and assign it. Let's see if there is any. If I go here, I can go to roles, and if I click on assign roles, effective as of 10/5, I can see that owner and payroll partner is already assigned. Do I have any role which I defined at pay group? Yes. There is an integration partner, there is a payroll accountant, payroll integration partner, payroll interface partner. Now I say I want somebody to be payroll accountant. And I say, okay, Oliver Reynolds is going to be my payroll accountant. Okay. So now Oliver is payroll accountant. Betty Lou and Logan McNeil, they are payroll partner and Logan is owner. So when we are saying administrator only, then these three, they are administrator only for this pay group. Okay. So this is how we define security. So we covered pay group, we covered visibility, we covered details. Let's talk about pay run group. As I said, pay run group, if the frequency is same, like in this example, I have two pay group. One is for executive and one is for salaried people. But one thing I observed that both of them are having quarterly bonus. And one more thing, the people who are processing these two pay group payroll, they are the same. So instead of processing one pay group at a time, why I not group them together into one pay group and call that one pay run group as quarterly bonus pay run group, which means that when I am running my process, instead of running that twice, I can just pick pay run group and run that process. So in one process run, I am able to kickstart pay run for two pay groups. How I do that? Let's do quick review. Pay run group. Okay, same task. Let's edit pay run group and see if there is any. Yeah, we have one quarterly bonus pay run group, and you can see all the pay groups. So there are 7 pay groups which are combined under this pay run group. It has mix of Canada and US, but one thing which is common in every single pay group is they are all quarterly pay group. So you need to remember, you can group only those pay group who has same frequency. Now, if I want to run pay calc, and if you remember from our thing, period to calculate, one option is to go and select period, or second is run by pay group, which means that all the pay groups are listed here. Third is run by pay run group. So I can go to quarterly run group, I can select it, and what it does for me. Pay run group, just one, pick it, run it. If we don't run with pay run group, see all those 7 or 8 pay groups, they are listed on my list, and then I need to pick 8 of them, okay, or which is kind of annoying. And if I want to run for all of them, instead of running them, I just use one checkbox and kickstart the process, and I'm done. So this is advantage of using pay run group. Yep, that's it, and let it go. That is pay run group. We already spoke about pay group assignment method, but this is how we assign pay group to employee. First option is configure automatic pay group assignment, and rule will take care of it. Second, manually assign pay group, which is through that business process called assign pay group. Third is sub process of a staffing. As I explained, assign pay group can be run independently or can be a sub process to hire, can be a sub process to change job, or do a mass upload like a EIB. So on EIB, earlier, this assign pay group was not available as EIB. So only option to do mass assignment is via iLoad, and iLoad was an implementer tool. So it was not open for customer, or it was not open for independent contractor. But with last release, Workday roll out public web service. So now we have a EIB to assign pay group through EIB template, which is very cool. So now end users or independent contractor, now they have access to this EIB, so they can assign pay group in bulk to employees. Okay. that's all we have for processing framework. We will do practice in tenant so that if each one of you will get your hands on configuring run category, configuring period schedule, and configuring pay group. So you will get practice, and that time, I mean, when you do with your own hands, things will get more clarified for you. But hypothetically or from concept perspective, any question before we wrap up for today?
Only thing is the recordings. I think the last time I checked, it was not there.
It was not there. Yeah, I checked before class. I will drop a note to Zerentech about recording. And one question: do you guys have tenant access for doing practice?
Well, I am using my own.
Okay.
Same
Anwar,
here.
you have GMS?
Yeah, I have a GMS and also the client tenant. So
Okay.
I was thinking to use GMS, so I'm not messing up in their setting.
Yeah, I mean, always prefer to use GMS because GMS is not getting refreshed. So you will not, but again, I mean, if it's an implementation tenant on client side, it is not going to refresh that frequently.
Right.
How about you,
I don't
Shima?
think I have the access. Can you please ask them to send me the email?
Can you
once
do
again?
me a favor? Can you
Sure.
drop a note to them?
Sure, I will.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I will push from my side, but I ask you to drop a note to them just in case if I missed.
Okay.
And let me know when you guys have access, then we will go over activities.
Sure.
Hey, Avi, can I ask one quick thing?
Mhm.
I am trying to, validate state and local tax and between the two tenant, and I'm finding that
I'm not.
there's not an easy way to validate. Like I have to open edit both places.
So let me ask you, what do you mean by validate?
Meaning that I have two tenants. We are building a new tenant using the some of the configurations in the main headquarter tenant. So I'm trying to validate these two tenants, whether they have same state and local taxes, withholdings and school districts and things like that, right?
Oh, so you mean to say you want to validate foundation tables?
Yeah, especially with respect to the taxes.
Yeah. So like, I mean, if I in one tenant, if I set up, I mean, company in 20 states, I want to validate that in another tenant, I do have company with 20 states set up or not.
Yeah, that's correct. Because see, there is a like everywhere you go, it allows you to download, but the
Here
state
you
and
don't.
local
Okay.
does not have the
So in
download.
this R2 release, they release one data source. Let's see that. I just read notes. I never tried create custom report. Okay, advanced and data sources company state. State local. My election. Okay. Let's try this business object details. State this one. Let's try one more option.
Yeah, this is the one. And especially I'm looking for the state of Pennsylvania. That's like one of
Yeah.
the complicated one.
They have lot of local. So let's do this. Company,
Yeah.
state.
Yeah.
Let's go
And
here.
especially if you go to the second one, the local one.
I will click on OK. Okay. You have export.
That's interesting. You have a support button there.
And but let's see how it comes back.
I don't think I have seen in my tenant.
Yeah, I do have. But there is definitely a new data source. I'm 100% sure because I read through release notes. Give me today because one of my team member, she wrote a report. So, and I mean, we were discussing during our daytime, and she said that, I mean, she wrote a report, although she said that it is not too clean, but at least now, I mean, we have a mechanism to pull that information down. So let me talk to her and get a data source and see if we can build something together.
Okay. Meanwhile, I'll check the button that you are seeing over there, the download button.
No problem. Check this.
Okay.
I'm surprised because why that data source is not coming. Maybe it is called something tax reporting or something they called it. Let's try tax reporting. No. Let me talk to her and I will try to get details.
Okay. No worries. Thank you so much. And again, appreciate it.
No problem.
I'll check out that download button that you're seeing there.
Yeah, just give it a try.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Okay, guys. Have a good
Bye, everyone.
Good evening, good night, and we will meet tomorrow.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you for attending the session. I hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, feel free to ask your questions in the comment section below, and we will reply to them at the earliest.